A United Way partner is cloudy and humid. The high will be 79, the low 61. Tomorrow will be cloudy with a high of 76 and a low of 48. Wednesday, it will be partly sunny, not as warm. The high will be 66, the low will be 42. Thursday, there will be plenty of sunshine.
1942, during World War II, Britain launched a major offensive against Axis forces at El Alamein in Egypt. Women paraded up Fifth Avenue in New York City, demanding the right to vote. In 1935, mobster Dutch Schultz, 34, was shot and mortally wounded with 3 other men during a gangland war. The World War II Battle of Yet Gulf began. ABC News investigative reporter Brian Ross is 69. Actor Michael Rupert is 66. Movie director Ang Lee is 63. Jazz singer Diane Reeves is 61. Country singer Dwight Yoakam is 61. Movie director Sam Raimi is 58 today. Parada's Weird Al Yankovic is 58. Rock musician Robert Trujillo of Metallica is 53 today. Actor John Huerta is 48. CNN medical reporter Dr. Sanjay Gupta is 48. Bluegrass musician Eric Gibson of the Gibson Brothers is 47. Country singer Jimmy Wayne is 45 today. Actress Vivian Bang is 44. Actor Ryan Reynolds is 41. R&B singer Miguel is 32 today. Actress Marcela Lucia is 32. Actress Emilia Clarke is 31. Actress Jessica Stroke is 32. And we have listeners today celebrating birthdays: Henry Gerald and Sally too. Happy birthday. Enjoy your day.
Daybreak Need to Know Out of Sight Fundraiser. The Vision Resource Center will hold its 6th annual Out of Sight Blindfolded Dining Fundraiser November 18th from 5 to 10 p.m. at the Hellenic Center on 614 Oak Ridge Avenue. Proceeds benefit programs to assist the center. Musical entertainment, silent and live auctions, dinner and dancing. Tickets are $75 per person or $125 for a couple. Go to visionresourcecentercc.org for more information. FSU Mayor's Forum. The Epsilon Zeta and Epsilon Rho Lambda chapters of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the Fayetteville Business and Professional League, and the Cumberland County for the Fayetteville State University alumni candidates at 7 panel discussion will include remarks from experts. The moderator will be Peter Murray at UNC Chapel Hill, Tom Hennessy, retired faculty member at Fayetteville State University, and David Winslow, senior consultant with the North Carolina Civil War History Center Foundation. The program is free. For more info,
Buddy Circle was arrested Sunday on charges of breaking dollars. Jason Morgan Warney, 26 of the 4,000 block of Lumiere Farm Road, was arrested Saturday on a charge of felony larceny. Bail was set at $10,000. Randy Lee Holmes Jr., 25 of the 1,000 block of Hicks Avenue, was arrested Saturday on theft and theft-related charges. Bail was set at $10,000. Larceny, Cherry Laurel Drive. The 800 block reported 24 rolls of Charmin brand toilet paper taken. Arizona Court of the 5100 block reported at 3:10 p.m. Saturday, home entered without force, tablet, computer, and jewelry taken. Vehicle break-ins. Ray Avenue on the 400 block reported at 11:35 p.m. Saturday, car broken into, cell phone taken. On Murchison Road, the 1200 block reported at 9:19 p.m. Saturday, money taken from car. On Hayes Street, the 400 block reported at 8:55 p.m. Saturday, car broken into, clothing taken. Assault. Village Drive, 3500 block, reported at 5:14 a.m. Saturday. Man suffered broken bones when attacked by someone.
Monday Moment. The Monday Moment highlights everyday slice-of-life happenings in the community. If you have a story idea, email news@fayobserver.com and put Monday Moment in the subject line. Office's busy schedule, a sign of the times. 42. Has so many street signs slated to be placed on Freedom Parkway Drive, the half-mile street that cuts across the new Freedom Town Center shopping area. It's a lot of signs for one stretch of road, signs and markings, technician Charles Taylor said. He and fellow technician Michael Monge spent Wednesday surveying the area as well as completing other tasks through the City of Fayetteville's Signs and Markings Office. The office, made up of 6 employees, helps maintain between 3,000 and 4,000 road signs on the 728 miles of streets that the city maintains. The department currently operates out of the Fayetteville Area System of Transit office on Grove Street because its old office on Alexander Street is still suffering from Hurricane Matthew damage. Supervisor Dean Sears said his office was tasked with putting up roadblock signs during the storm. That's all we did for weeks, Sears said. The day begins with checking emails for sign repairs. The first thing we do is check Fay Fix It, Sears said, referring to the city's online app where residents can report problems. Sears has been with the city for the past 22 years after studying graphic design. He loves not being stuck in an office and solving complex problems. I can be hands-on, Sears said. I'll get down and dirty. Sears' office replaces all signs that are damaged or stolen. On average, they service 5 signs a week. The most frequently stolen sign in the city is the Forest Hills Drive sign. That's where rapper J. Cole grew up. It was getting stolen every 2 weeks after his album dropped, Sears said in reference to J. Cole's 2014 Forest Hills Drive album that came out in December of that year. Taylor ended up coming with a new way to anchor street sign poles in order to stop the theft of that sign. On Wednesday, there were no submissions entered in Fay Fix It, so he and Monge started working on a street name sign requested on another day. First, Monge and Taylor went to enter the sign for Turner Lane into the city's new GIS system. The exact location for about 10% of the city's signs have been entered into the system, which helps the technicians install the signs in the right place. Sears said when he first started, the department had just ordered a computer to help make the signs. Technology plays a huge role for us, Sears said. After the sign design was put into the computer, Monge placed a large blue sheet in a machine. It took about 15 minutes to complete the wording for the sign. At most, such sign names take a half hour to finish. After taking the sheet out of the machine, the double-sided label was ready to be placed on the nearly 5-foot-long sign. People don't realize how big the signs are when they are going 40 miles an hour, Sears said. After finishing the sign, Monge and Taylor headed out to survey the Freedom Town Center area. In many places, they will have to coordinate with utility companies to make sure pipes or lines are not below where the signs will be placed. Sears said he tries to have teams go out in pairs for safety. They often do not have other traffic control personnel with them as they mark where the signs will be placed. By keeping them safe, Sears said residents help keep drivers safe. Sears said his favorite part of his job is his co-workers. We all get along, Sears said. There aren't many hiccups.
Bird sentencing hearing continues. The sentencing hearings for the Army Sergeant Bo Birdahl has already admitted his guilt on charges that he deserted and endangered his platoon mates in Afghanistan in 2009. Continues at Fort Bragg this week. The judge could order Birdahl to life imprisonment. Birdahl pleaded guilty last week, 2 years after the court was presented thousands of classified documents and heard testimony from a 4-star general of Forces Command and service members who were injured on missions to find Birdahl. The defense tried numerous times to get the charges against Bergdahl dismissed based on what they called biased comments made by U.S. Senator John McCain and President Donald Trump. Last week, Trump breathed new life into the case when he commented on Bergdahl's a news conference at the White House, allowing defense lawyers to renew an old motion to dismiss based on Trump's bias. Bergdahl has chosen a trial by a military judge, so Colonel Jeffrey Nance will alone hear the evidence and hand down the sentence. Because there is no pretrial agreement, analysts say Bergdahl's plea is risky given there is no cap on the maximum punishment he could receive. Victor M. Hansen, a retired officer of the judge, Advocate General Corps, and a law professor at New England Law in Boston, said some of the pretrial motions haven't been surprising. Given the high-profile nature of the case, Hansen said defense lawyers were expected to attempt to get the charges dismissed based on unlawful command influence. The defense has long argued that comments by McCain and Trump have made it impossible for Bergdahl to receive a fair trial. McCain, chairman of the Senate Armed Forces Services Committee, has repeatedly said that expect those in high faith on October other type of unlawful command influence motion in my years of dealing with the military justice system. That is similar to this. I've raised issues where the commander-in-chief has said something, but not to this degree and not with such explicit language of his desired outcome that Trump said as a candidate and seemingly affirmed as president. The other noteworthy evidence that the judge could consider is personal accounts from soldiers who were injured as they searched for Bergdahl. Testimony could come from Jonathan Morita and James Hatch. Morita, who has left the Army but was a specialist in 2009, had previously described the intense firefight in Paktika province, Afghanistan, where his team was pinned down. A rocket-propelled grenade struck Morita in his right side, which he was using to hold his rifle. The grenade didn't explode but caused the rifle to break in 4 pieces and inflicted severe injuries in his hand. Hatch, a Navy SEAL, said he was left with a broken femur that ended his naval career. Hansen said prosecutors are expected to want to present that evidence, but he isn't sure it would sway the judge. I think it's going to be tricky for the government to get a lot out of this, he said. I think it's a bit of a stretch to pin all that on Bergdahl. I think a judge is going to be pretty circumspect about giving that evidence a whole lot of weight. These are soldiers. They are dangerous missions. I am not sure the judge won't put the whole weight of the U.S. Army on the back of Bergdahl.
State reads, impaired driver hits Henderson deputy head-on Hendersonville. An impaired driver has been arrested after he had a head-on collision with a sheriff's deputy. Henderson County Sheriff's Major Frank Stout tells local media that the crash happened Thursday night. Corporal Corey Justice was taken to a hospital for observation and released. Hendersonville police charged Stephen Allison with driving while impaired and possession of methamphetamine and drug paraphernalia. No other details of the crash have been released. Allison has been released from jail on bond. It wasn't immediately known if he had an attorney. Sex offender arrested at State Fair, Raleigh. A registered sex offender has been arrested at the North Carolina State Fair. Authorities tell local media outlets 35-year-old Alexander James Cogdell of Kinston was arrested just before 7 p.m. Saturday and charged with being a registered sex offender in a place where children are present. He was jailed under a $20,000 bond, and it wasn't known if he had an attorney. Authorities say Cogdell was wearing an ankle monitor, which alerted authorities he was in violation of his parole. Cogdell was at the fair with his family, and authorities say he was arrested without incident. Online records show Cogdell was arrested in 2000 on a charge of indecent liberties with a minor. He was 18 at the time. Teen shot during high school baseball practice, Rocky Mount. Authorities are investigating what led to a teen being shot in the neck during warm-ups for his high school baseball practice. Police tell media outlets they're probing the shooting Thursday afternoon at Rocky Mount High School. Authorities say the 15-year-old student was hit by a .22 caliber bullet while on the baseball field before practice. Police said the boy reported having a pain in his neck and went to the hospital. Authorities said his injuries are not life-threatening and he is recovering at home. A spokeswoman for Nash Rocky Mount Schools said the teen wasn't targeted, and police say they're probing reports of people possibly hunting in nearby woods at the time of the shooting. Services planned for 2 killed in failed prison break, Elizabeth City. Services are being held for 2 workers killed during an attempted escape by state prisoners who tried to burn, stab, and slash their way out. The Service for Correction Enterprises manager Veronica Darden was held Saturday, and the Service for Correctional Officer Justin Smith will be held today. Both services are being held at Elizabeth City State University. The 50-year-old Darden and the 35-year-old Smith were killed during attempted escape from Pasquotank Correctional Institution on October 12th. 4 prisoners were charged Friday with murder. The head of the agency that runs the state's prisons has announced new steps to reduce risk posed by inmates in prison work programs such as the sewing plant at Pasquotank. Darden taught work skills in the sewing plant, while Smith provided security. Guard building dedicated to fallen West Virginia soldier, Sanford. The North Carolina National Guard has dedicated a building to a fallen West Virginia National Guard soldier. A news release says a ceremony Friday dedicated the Sanford Readiness Center to Sergeant DeForest Talbert. Sergeant DeForest Talbert was an armored crewman assigned to the Dunbar unit of 1st Battalion, 150th Armored Regiment, based in Beckley, West Virginia. He was killed in July of 2004 in Baladruk, Iraq, when an improvised explosive device detonated near his Humvee. Talbert was a native of Alexandria, Virginia, and enlisted in the West Virginia National Guard in 2001. He was studying communications at West Virginia State University before he was deployed. Units from the West Virginia and North Carolina National Guards fall under the 30th Armored Brigade Combat Team, headquartered in Clinton. Teen succumbs to gunshot wounds 1 week later, Wilmington. Authorities say a young woman who was shot a week ago inside her home by people shooting from outside has died. Wilmington police said 19-year-old Savannah Miller died Friday. Lieutenant Kevin Hargrove told the Star News of Wilmington that someone shooting from outside shot Miller on October 14th. She had been on life support since then. In a 911 call from the shooting, a woman said multiple men were outside with guns. The shooter fired at least 5 rounds from the driveway behind the house. This homicide was one of 4 shootings over the last week, including that of 19-year-old Christopher White on Wednesday. A police spokeswoman told the Star News that she couldn't confirm any relationship between Miller and White, although the 2 were friends on social media. Contractors to begin work on Coastal Bridge, Manteo. Contractors for the North Carolina Department of Transportation are slated to begin work on a coastal bridge that will result in lane closures. A news release from the department on Friday said deck maintenance on a Virginia Dare Memorial Bridge on the US 64 bypass across Croatan Sound includes concrete deck repairs, concrete crack sealing, and new pavement markings. Work is scheduled to begin Monday with closures of the eastbound lanes between October 23rd and November 15th. Work on the westbound lanes will close that side from November 15th through December 13th. Traffic will take a detour along US 64 through Mans Harbor and Manteo across the William B. Umstead Bridge. The Dare Bridge will be open to all traffic on weekends between Friday at 6 a.m. and Sunday at 10 p.m. 7 arrested in raid on gaming machines. Bolivia. An undercover investigation into gaming machines has resulted in 7 arrests. The Brunswick County Sheriff's Office said on its Facebook page on Friday that 16 search warrants were executed at various locations throughout the county, where 387 video gaming machines and more than $250,000 in cash were seized. The Sheriff's Office also said it worked with local police departments and the FBI Coastal Criminal Enterprise Task Force. In July, an Onslow County Superior Court judge issued a temporary restraining order preventing all law enforcement agencies from enforcing North Carolina gambling laws. Last Friday, the State Court of Appeals ruled that the judge lacked jurisdiction to issue such an order, clearing the way for the Sheriff's Office to proceed with the investigation into illegal gaming. And these come from the Associated Press.
Documents reveal homicide details. Court documents provide more details surrounding the beating death of 9-year-old Zamir Chance in Fayetteville on Saturday morning. Zamir's mother, 35-year-old Crystal Monique Matthews of White Moss Court, is accused of killing him at the Fairfield Inn and Suites Hotel on Ramsey Street. In a report filed with Matthews' arrest warrant, Detective J.T. Hall said officers were summoned to the hotel about 10:25 a.m. because someone heard sounds of stomping and screaming coming from room 317. No one would open the door for the officers, so they went in. Hall wrote, they saw Zamir slumped over the floor with an excessive amount of blood visible around him, he said. The boy was taken to Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. There he was pronounced dead as a result of what appeared to be blunt force trauma to the head, Hall said. Witnesses to the hotel and videotape show that no one but Matthews and Zamir had entered the room, Hall wrote. Matthews was detained, then charged later Saturday. When Matthews appeared before a magistrate after her arrest, the official made a note in her paperwork appeared incoherent. Matthews is being held without bail at the Cumberland County Detention Center. She scheduled to appear before a district court judge there at 2:30 p.m. today.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our address is P.O. Box 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call area code 910-672-1600 or toll free 1-844-709-5656. The radio hosts are
Evelyn Simonette
and Robert Bean, and we are proud to serve you today. Cumberland Matters. It's flu shot time at the Health Department by John Souls. October is the beginning of flu season, and you can help protect yourself and your family by attempting flu shots at the Cumberland County Department of Public Health. Children and adults can get flu shots at the Immunizations Clinic at 1235 Ramsey Street during regular clinic hours. Free flu shots are available to uninsured children ages 6 months to 18 years old. Individuals with insurance may receive a flu shot at little to no out-of-pocket cost if they have Medicare, Medicaid, North Carolina Health Choice, TRICARE Standard, or Blue Cross and Blue Shield. The Immunizations Clinic is open Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., every second and fourth Tuesday until 7 p.m., and Fridays from 8 a.m. to noon. Friday afternoon service is limited and available by appointment only. Patients arriving late in the day should report to the Immunizations Clinic at least 30 minutes before closing time to allow time for registration. For more information, call the Immunizations Clinic at 433-3633 or 433-3657. While the flu virus can have serious implications even for healthy people, flu complications are most common among very young children and people over 50, as well as people with chronic health conditions and pregnant women. The flu shot is no guarantee against getting sick because influenza is caused by viruses which constantly change and mutate. But there are simple sanitary steps you can take to cut down the risk of contracting the flu. In addition to vaccinations, you can prevent flu and other illnesses by covering coughs and sneezes with a tissue and then discarding the tissue properly, washing hands frequently with soap and water, or if not available, with an approved hand sanitizer, staying home when you are sick. Stay home until you are fever-free for at least 24 hours. Coalition needs volunteers. The Cumberland County Disaster Recovery Coalition is a relatively young organization and has been very busy since Hurricane Matthew a year ago. The CDRC, Alliance Behavioral Healthcare, and other sponsors teamed up to hold the Heart of Matthew Awards last week to honor unsung heroes in a community who went above and beyond the call of duty before, during, and after Hurricane Matthew. Coalition Executive Director Invan Anton said the event was held to honor heroes, but also to sustain public awareness of ongoing needs. Anton said as many as 400 affected families still need help and at least 180 homes still need to be rebuilt. Anton said the CDRC is seeking volunteers, particularly carpenters, roofers, plumbers, and electricians. You can serve the community still recovering from Hurricane Matthew by volunteering your time and expertise or donating supplies or materials. Contact the CDRC at 491-3694 or stop by the office located at 310 Green Street, Suite 200 in downtown Fayetteville. The website is cdrcnc.org. John Souls is the Public Information Specialist for Cumberland County Government. You can reach him by calling 321-6579 or emailing co.cumberland.nc.us.
Fire damages Harris Street home. A fire heavily damaged a home early Sunday in the Council Heights neighborhood off Murchison Road, the Fayetteville Fire Department reported. No one was injured. A fire department news release says the cause remains under investigation. The fire was reported at 3:45 a.m. on the 1800 block of Harrison Street, the department said. When firefighters arrived, dark smoke was coming from the front door and 3 occupants were outside. Shortly after arriving, fire was visible coming from a bedroom at the rear of the house. The news report release says the fire was quickly extinguished and occupants taken care of by the Red Cross. The house was estimated to be 45% damaged and had smoke damage throughout.
Greensboro Cinema Wall, a street art showcase by Margaret Moffett, News and Record of Greensboro, Tribune News Service, Greensboro. Developer Marty Cotis is determined to turn Greensboro into a street art destination, one mural at a time. Cotis has commissioned another mural by another internationally known artist, this time British painter Dan Kitchener. Kitchener, who goes by Dank, is a rock star in the street art world, holding shows and painting gritty cityscapes across the globe. About 10 days ago, he set up shop at Cotis's Red Cinemas on Battleground Avenue in a section now known as Midtown. Armed with 1,060 cans of spray paint and a hydraulic lift, Dank transformed the theater's south-facing red wall into a futuristic Tokyo, complete with flying cars. The 80-foot by 28-foot canvas is now home to several of Dank's signature looks, geishas, along with rain-slick streets and bright lights reflecting off of them. He's hoping to finish any last-minute details today, since he plans to fly home Tuesday.
What drove the crises? Letter to editor. Referring to General Report Lee Monuments, William Lansford, letters to September 19th, wrote, as an African American, I cannot take pride in any monument that is a rallying point for hate, bigotry, and racism. Don't let the First Amendment, free speech, antics of the leftist loons, or the idiotic neo-Nazis and KKK sway your thoughts. Lee would have thought of these groups as repugnant. Indeed, one local TV channel reported on a statewide poll that shows only 28% of North Carolinians want such statues removed, but 60% of us do not, and we are not KKK. Lee never owned any slaves himself and called slavery a political and moral evil. He believed the only effective answer to the question of how to end slavery was the mild and melting influence of Christianity. He was, after all, a devout Christian. When asked if he led the Union Army, he declined. As allegiance to one's state was higher than to one's country back then, one was a Virginian or Ohioan rather than an American. But that shows the esteem he had. Washington and Lee University has his name. So did a U.S. Navy submarine. There is a statue of him in the U.S. Capitol. 5 U.S. postage stamps has borne his image. Multiple states have counties named for him. With such post-war recognition, it seems he was a successful reconciler of Southerners to the Union and healing of the nation after the war. That makes him worthy of historic statues to his remembrance. Dan Barton, Fayetteville.
Observer's editorial, Gen X threat needs more extensive response. Day by day, the Gen X story grows more worrisome, and the apparent threat grows larger. So far this month, the state has expanded its testing zone to a mile around the Chemours plant on the Cumberland-Bladen County line. The chemical used in producing Teflon has now been found in numerous private wells around the plant. Chemours, a DuPont spinoff, is providing bottled drinking water to residents whose wells were affected. The company last summer acknowledged that it has long dumped effluent containing Gen X into the Cape Fear River. Now it's clear that it has also leaked from the plant into the aquifer beneath the plant. It's still unclear how far it has spread. And the state is also testing the water at 3 Cumberland County schools, as well as a ball field near the plant. State regulators have learned that at other locations, Gen X was found to have spread through the air, as well as in water. EPA researchers found it more than 20 miles from a Chemours plant in West Virginia. But the most disturbing news came last week when homeowner Mike Waters, who lives a mile from the Chemours plant, wasn't satisfied with the test the state ran on his well water. The state did find elevated levels of Gen X in his well, but Waters wondered if there could be more things getting into the aquifer from the plant. So he paid a private laboratory $800 to more thoroughly analyze his water supply. The test found about 15 compounds in his water, with to examine chemicals related to manufacturing processes at Chemours. Regulators refer to them as emerging contaminants. They haven't been tested for their effects on human health, then neither has Gen X. But researchers do know that Gen X causes cancer in laboratory animals. Some of those same chemicals have been found in the Cape Fear River as well. Testing has also found traces of C8, the chemical that Gen X replaced, in some water samples, including from Waters' well. C8 is a suspended carcinogen. It would come as no surprise if all of the compounds in the C8 and Gen X family posed health problems. And while this testing is going on, where are our lawmakers? They traveled to Raleigh to override Governor Roy Cooper's veto of a measure that gave about $400,000 in funding to Wilmington area Gen X researchers, but denied his request for $2.6 million to beef up staff at the Department of Environmental Quality and the Department of Health and Human Services, the 2 state agencies that are responsible for responding to the Chemours mess. And now it appears that the environmental threat to communities around the plant may be just as large, and perhaps even larger. Based on what was found in Mile Wanter's well, it's clear that the state needs to expand its testing to much more than a mile around the plant, and it needs to test for more than Gen X and C8. Homeowners shouldn't need to spend $800 out of their own pockets, nor the $300 that Cumberland County is charging to test for Gen X, to find out what's in their water. And the General Assembly needs to recognize the scope of this problem and give state regulators the funding they need to get a handle on the extent of the problem in Cumberland and Bladen counties, as well as downstream on the Cape Fear. We shouldn't have to wait until lawmakers return to Raleigh in January. The state may have a significant environmental emergency on its hands, and it needs to respond with the kind of resources that will fully protect the affected citizenry. Every month that has passed since the discovery of Gen X in the river, the story and the threat to human health and safety has grown. Matters like this should be above political squabbling, and if our legislative leadership can't understand that, then maybe it's time for some retirement parties.
Wounds suffered in Bergdahl search changed 3 lives. One soldier who searched for Bergdahl uses wheelchair now, unable to speak because of a head wound. Another still can't truly use its right hand. Still another searcher saw a leg wound from enemy fire in his career as a Navy SEAL. Those wounds are expected to be considered by the judge, who will determine Bergdahl's punishment on charges that he endangered his comrades by walking off his post in Afghanistan in 2009. The sentencing hearing opens Monday for Bergdahl, who pleaded guilty to misbehavior before the enemy and desertion. Here are the stories of wounded searchers who are part of the case against Bergdahl. Army National Guard Master Sergeant Mark Allen had already served in Iraq and could have begged off another deployment, a family friend said. He told me that he was coming back to a frontline unit because they were going to be deployed and he didn't want his guys to go along, said Robert Stokely. Deployed to Afghanistan, Allen was shot in the head in July 2009 while searching for Bergdahl. The traumatic brain injury dramatically changed life for Allen, his wife, and 2 children. Once an avid outdoorsman, Allen depends on a wheelchair and can't speak. Allen's wife, Shannon, declined to be interviewed, but the toll was evident as she sat crying in the courtroom the day Bergdahl pleaded guilty. Before being wounded, Allen gave words of support to Stokely after his son, National Guard Sergeant Michael Stokely, died in Iraq in 2005. If you want to look at the best America has to offer, look at the Allen family, Robert Stokely said. Jonathan Merida of California, who serves as an Army corporal, was reservist and Iraq veteran, taking college course classes when he was recalled for Afghanistan duty. I was at home enjoying life as a civilian, going to school, working at a job, he said by phone earlier this year. During the search mission that left Allen wounded, a rocket-propelled grenade shattered Marida's hand. The projectile didn't explode, but he needed multiple surgeries. Merida can't bend the thumb or index finger on his right hand. He had to learn again how to brush his teeth and write. Imagine doing things with your 3 fingers, Marita said. I can't even change the oil on my car. He said he's trying to live as normally as possible, but still feels anger towards Bergdahl. Every time I hit my finger on something, there's only one image that pops in my head, and it's him. In a second interview, Marita said he was struck by Bergdahl's comment in court that he didn't think such a large search would be mounted for him. I man those missions, he said. I mean, anybody who's ever watched Black Hawk Down would know that we do that. Retired Senior Chief Petty Officer James Hatch, a former Navy SEAL, said his team had 90 minutes to plan a separate search mission under poor conditions, but he felt the mission was crucial. I did not want Sergeant Bergdahl's mother to see her son executed on YouTube, Hatch said in a statement. Their helicopters came under fire as they were landing to search near the Pakistan border. Hatch testified his leg was hit by AK-47 fire and a military dog had helped locate enemy fighters was killed. He now runs a non-profit providing care and support for military and law enforcement dogs. He credits survival to team members who quickly applied a tourniquet. They saved me from bleeding to death, said Hatch, who entered the pre-trial hearing limping.
FSU alumni launched scholarship, Dream Endowment to provide help for financially struggling students. A new scholarship endowment is being established by Fayetteville State University alumni who served as Miss FSU. The Dream Endowment had its symbolic launch on Sunday at the Miss Fayetteville State University's Alumni Queen's Legacy Tea. The event was held at the university's Student Center. More than 80 people attended, among them 11 former Miss FSUs. About $7,000 has been raised so far, said organizer Jasmine Bogan, who was Miss FSU 2015 to 2016. In addition to building an endowment fund, she hopes to help as many as 5 students this year with $1,000 scholarships. Fayetteville State gave Bogan great support when she was a student, and Bogan said, I feel like doing this will help give back to Fayetteville State for what they have done for me. Some students can't finish college because they do not have enough money to pay for it, Bogan said. So when she was thinking of organizing a legacy event for former Miss FSUs, she thought, why not raise a fund to help give back to the school to students who need money to finish school? Because some people have to drop out when they're almost through their last year. Keynote speaker Katie McNeil, the 2005-2006 Miss FSU, also made that point. All these people put all of this time into me for a year, she said. For me to just have a portrait and a picture in a book and some special memories for myself, if that's all that it's about, then I have to ask myself, am I really relevant? The Dream Endowment will provide financial need-based scholarships to juniors and seniors, Bogan said. As for students enrolled in the science, technology, engineering, math program, she said, and for those in the performing and fine arts program. Donations can be made by calling the university at area code 910-671-1661, by visiting the website www.uncfsu.edu/IA/development, or by texting FSU to 41444. More info. So financial need-based scholarships for juniors and seniors at Fayetteville State University. Students must be enrolled in the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math or STEM program, or the Performing and Fine Arts program. And to donate, once again, you can call area code 910-671-1661 or text FSU to 41444.
My boy has a heart of gold. From Kim Hastings. 7-year-old Lathan Hare's family is in the business of baking cakes, pies, and cupcakes, as well as croissants filled with yummy things such as lemon custard and Bavarian cream. But none of those things can top the sweetness of the cookie cake the youngster himself made. Sweetest of all was the donation Lathan made last week to Fayetteville Urban Ministry. He likes to help out, said Lathan's dad, Jason, as well as Lathan's mom, Holly, can remember. It all started over the summer on one of those school break days when nothing much was going on. I think he was probably bored, she said, so Lathan hung out for a while at Bernie's Sweets and More, the business just off Rayford Road, that the Harrises own, along with friends Jana and Chip Humphrey. Being around the business, Lathan had seen a lot of sifting, mixing, and baking going on. He decided he would get in on the action, so he came up with the idea of chocolate chip cookie cake, which his dad helped him make. But when the cake was finished, complete with an American flag made of frosting on top, Lathan had no intention of digging in. I wanted to give it to the homeless so they wouldn't starve, he said. His dad thought of a different idea. Why not put the cake up for auction on the Bernie Sweets and More Facebook page? The cake will go to the highest bidder, and the money raised will go to those in need. Lathan, a second grader at Riverside Christian Academy, is a cutie. He's a really good big brother to his 5-year-old sister Lila, and also enjoys playing flag football. But he's always had a talent for something else, to helping others. My boy has a heart of gold, Jason Hare wrote on the Facebook post announcing the contest. Lathan came by his heart of gold naturally. His parents both enjoy helping others with both their businesses. They also own Southern Cole's barbecue catering business with the Humphreys. They rarely miss a chance to lend a hand. At Epicenter Church, where they are members, they've helped feed those in need on holidays and during emergency situations, such as following Hurricane Matthew. So the bidding began on June 8th. Everyone seemed to love getting in on the idea. Liz's Uncle Jeff Hare, like the nice uncle he is, started the bidding at $100. But it turns out he wasn't about to stop there. Every time someone topped his bid, Jeff Hare jumped in to top theirs. He ended up the winning bid at $450. Nobody was going to beat his Uncle Jeff Hare, Holly Hare said. By the time others chipped in with donations, Lathan had nearly $700 to donate. As autumn dawned and Bernie's display cases filled with pumpkin cheesecake and pumpkin cream cheese cupcakes, they decided on Fayetteville Urban Ministry as the recipient of the donation. Lathan was pleased. So are his proud parents. He's sweet, Holly Hare said of her son, just like his daddy. Kim Hasty can be reached at 486-3591 or khasty@fayobserver.com.
This Rainmaker only dances in cloudburst, an opinion piece by Jonah Goldberg. A Washington lobbyist once told me that the first rule of rainmakers is, if it starts to rain, dance. In other words, if you're hired to get something done, by all means take credit for it if it happens, even if you had nothing to do with it. Another version of the same principle is Ferris Buellerism. In the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the precocious teen sees a parade in downtown Chicago and proceeds to run in front of it as if he'd been leading it all along. Fired White House aide Steve Bannon is a quintessential Ferris Bueller. My late friend Andrew Breitbart created the media empire that regrettably still bears his name. When he died, Bannon took over the parade Andrew launched. Bannon followed the same playbook in the 2016 presidential race. He boarded the Trump train late and pretended he'd been the conductor all along. As Trump himself put it, I like Steve, but you have to remember he was not involved in my campaign until very late. I'd already beaten all the senators and all the governors, and I didn't know Steve. I'm my own strategist, and it wasn't like I was going to change strategies because I was facing crooked Hillary. In the recent Alabama GOP runoff for U.S. Senate, Trump and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell supported incumbent Senator Luther Strange, whose weakness as a candidate could be attributed to his near-total lack of charisma and the dodgy circumstances of his appointment to fill Attorney General Jeff Sessions' former Senate seat. As Alabama's Attorney General, Strange pushed to delay the impeachment of the governor, creating the appearance of a backroom deal. Strange's opponent in the runoff was former Alabama Supreme Court Justice Roy Moore, a well-known and controversial figure in the state. Moore was always way ahead in the polls, but Bannon parachuted into the state and backed the likely winner, insisting that a vote for Moore was a vote for Trump's agenda and would serve as a thumb in the eye of the Washington establishment, particularly McConnell. Moore won, and Rainmaker Bannon danced, taking credit for something that would have happened anyway. Now, Bannon is claiming he will back candidates to challenge every incumbent senator up for re-election in 2018, save for Ted Cruz, who is supported by the billionaire Mercer family, patrons of Bannon and Breitbart News. It's understandable that Bannon and his employees at Breitbart would want to perpetuate the myth of Bannon's rainmaking skills. They're in the business of monetizing anger at Washington and the GOP establishment. Less forgivable, if not necessarily less understandable, is the eagerness of the political press to perpetuate the myth that Bannon is a master political strategist and a kingmaker in Republican politics. Jonah Goldberg is an editor-at-large of National Review Online and a visiting fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. Email him at jonascolumn@aol.com.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Robert Bean
and Beverlyn Simonette, and we are proud to serve you today. The obituaries today, death notices. The following deaths have been reported. See upcoming editions of the Fayetteville Observer for complete obituary information. In Cumberland County, Daniel Edward Underwood, 81, of Stedman. Rogers and Brees Funeral Home will be conducting the services. Eloise Revels, 85, of Smithfield Parish Funeral Home will be conducting the services. Lenora King, 59, of Spring Lake Cunningham and Sons Mortuary will be conducting the services. Cape Fear Region, Carolyn T. McDowell of Elizabethtown Johnson's Funeral Home will be conducting the services. Linda Evans, 59, of Whiteville SNL Funeral Home of Fair Bluff will be conducting the services. Johnny Brothers, 83, of Rayford Bowie Funeral Home will be conducting the services. Ernest Locklear, 67, of Wagram Richard Bowles Funeral Home will be handling the services. Wilton Laurie, 77, of Maxton Richard Bowles Funeral Service will be handling the services. Funerals today. Frank Allen, 91, of Blaytonboro. The funeral will be at 3 p.m. at Abe Branch Holiness Church. The burial will be at Hersey Cemetery. Services will be handled by the Blayton Gaskin Funeral Home of Elizabethtown. Elizabeth Johnston, 97, of Fayetteville. Services will be at 1 p.m. at the Jernigan Warren Chapel. Burial will be at the Lafayette Memorial Park. In Cumberland County, Vivian Ann Mason, 57, of Fayetteville, passed away in her home on October 15, 2017. There will be visitation with the family on October 28th from 6 to 9 at the home located at 4638 Devonshire Drive in Fayetteville, North Carolina 28304. There will be a private family memorial. Sadie T. Council, 75, of Fayetteville, died Thursday, October 19, 2017. The funeral is Wednesday at 1 p.m. at Lewis Chapel Baptist Church. Burial will be at Rockfish Memorial Park. Wiseman Mortuary will be handling the services. In the region and elsewhere, Joe C. Jacobs, 77, of Smithfield, formerly of Laurinburg, died Friday, October 20th, 2017. The funeral will be Monday at 2 p.m. in Richmond Bowles Funeral Service Chapel will be handling the services. The funeral will be Monday at Richmond Bowles Funeral Service Chapel. Visitation prior to the service in the funeral home, Monday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Burial will be at Hillside Memorial Park. Richard Bowles Funeral Home will be handling the services. Shelby Bess Rozier, 79, of Bowles Creek, died Saturday, October 21st, 2017. The funeral will be Wednesday at 2 p.m. Skinner and Smith Funeral Home. Visitation will be at the Skinner and Smith Funeral Home on Wednesday from 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Burial will be at the Memorial Park Cemetery. Skinner and Smith Funeral Home will be handling the services. Barbara Duncan Raybon, 76, of Clarendon, died Friday, October 20th, 2017. The funeral will be held on Tuesday at 11 a.m. at Clarendon Baptist Church. Visitation will be at Worthington Funeral Home, Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. Burial will be at McPherson Cemetery at Chadbourn, and Worthington Funeral Home will be handling the services. Gary Ray Muntz, Sr. of Lumberton, died Saturday, October 21st, 2017. Graveside, Tuesday, 11 a.m., Galen Baptist Church Cemetery. Burial will be at Galen Baptist Church Cemetery in Blaytonboro. Mackenzie Mortuary in Whiteville is handling the services. Jane Blocker of Southern Pines died Saturday, October 14, 2017. Memorial will be Monday at 11 a.m. at Weymouth Center. Powell Funeral Home will be handling the services.
Billy Graham, We must feed our souls for spiritual strength. Mrs. A.G. writes, I don't understand myself. Sometimes I believe very strongly in Jesus and feel close to him, but then it all fades away and I'm filled with all kinds of doubts. Why can't I have a strong faith like some of my friends do? Billy Graham answers, the most important truth I can tell you is that God does not want you to have an unstable up and down faith. He wants you to have a strong faith, and because God wants your faith to be strong, He has given you everything you need to make it possible. Think of it this way. Suppose you never ate nourishing food or you never exercised. Suppose, too, that you never made an effort to spend time with other people. What would happen to you? You know the answer. You'd grow weaker and weaker, both physically and emotionally. And if it went on too long, you'd get sick or even die. We all need food and exercise, and we also need other people for it to stay healthy. The same is true spiritually. If we never feed our souls, we'll grow weaker and weaker spiritually. God will seem distant. Doubts will fill our minds and we'll be more vulnerable to sin. We need food, the spiritual food that God has already provided for us to keep strong. What is the spiritual food? First, God has given us His Word, the Bible. He has also given us the privilege of prayer, welcoming us into His presence at any time. In addition, He has given us other believers, especially through the church, to encourage and help us. Make each of these a part of your spiritual diet every day. The Bible says, like newborn babies, crave pure spiritual milk, so that by it you may grow up in your salvation. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 2. Readers can write to the Reverend Billy Graham at the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, 1 Billy Graham Parkway, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28201, or call 877-2-GRAHAM. The website for the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association is at billygraham.org.
Dear Abby, boyfriend shows no interest in expanding family agreements. Dear Abby, my boyfriend Kevin and I have been together for 5 years and have a 4-year-old son we are crazy about. For the past 6 months, I've been begging Kevin to have another child. Some days he's all for it, but then he changes his mind and starts asking me to give him a good reason why we should. No matter what I say, he always says, I want another child, just to have another. What can I tell him to make him change his mind? Suffering with baby fever. Dear Suffering, a reason that occurs to me would be that you do not want your little boy to grow up as an only child. However, your boyfriend may prefer not to enlarge your family because he doesn't want to be financially responsible for more than one child. Instead of trying to sell him on the idea, perhaps you should ask him to give you some good reasons why he's not enthusiastic as you are about it. The answer may be that he's not as fully committed to your relationship as you are. Dear Abby, I have a friend, Missy, who is nose blind. When it comes to her pets, she has 3 enormous dogs who have the run of her house and car. The first time we carpooled together, the smell in her car was repulsive. The passenger side was filthy, stained full of dog hair. I don't have pets, so I suspect I may be a little more sensitive than the average person. But not wanting to hurt her feelings, I bit my tongue and got through the ride as best I could. Lately, I have been driving us to the events we attend together, and I really don't mind doing so. In fact, I prefer it. But she has started asking me why and insists that she'll drive next time. What do I tell her without hurting her feelings? Dogged in Colorado. Dear dog, tell your friend the truth, that although she is used to the dog's odor and the hair they shed, you would rather drive than have to deal with it. Dear Abby, we bought a vacation home last year and spent a lot of money remodeling it. The problem is, lots of our friends and relatives constantly ask to use it. The upkeep costs us $400 per month, which goes up when someone uses it. We have never charged anyone to stay there. We are getting tired of footing the bill for other people's vacation. We wouldn't mind so much if they would offer a little money to offset the extra expenses. If there's a way we can politely ask for it. We are not wealthy, and this was a dream of ours. Thanks for your advice. Our dream in Tennessee. Dear Dream, yes, there's a way. The next time someone asks to use your vacation home, say, we'd love to let you do it. But the place costs $400 a month to upkeep, and the expenses go up if someone is staying there. How about splitting the cost with us? You should not be expected to pay for these people's vacation, and what you are asking is more than fair. Readers can write to Dear Abby at dearabby.com or P.O. Box 69440, Los Angeles, California 90069.
Horoscope by Stella Wilder. Born today, you tend to live your life quite freely without regard for the kinds of rules, regulations, and restrictions that hold most people back within the boundaries of conventionality and propriety. Scorpio, October 23rd through November 21st. If you feel compelled to complain, do so to one who can actually help you do something about the original offense. Choose carefully. Sagittarius, November 22nd through December 21st. Your emotions may be quite near the surface throughout much of the day, so you can't stifle the urge to lash out. Capricorn, December 22nd through January 19th. The starting point and the finish line may be indistinguishable today. This is a puzzle solved only by doing what must be done. Aquarius, January 20th through February 18th. Though usually quite good at solving riddles of certain import, today you may miss the most obvious clues and come up short. Pisces, February 19th through March 20th. You may startle those who are expecting you to do the same thing as usual today. Your creativity and flexibility are most valuable right now. Aries, March 21st through April 19th. You know what is possible, but someone is trying to urge you toward that which you know is not. It's time for you to make boundaries clear. Taurus, April 20th through May 20th. A contest reveals no clear winners or losers, but that doesn't mean you won't want to access the performance of your team. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th. Someone who has been positioned against you for some time is likely to come around today and pledge loyalty as things heat up. Cancer, June 21st through July 22nd. You may be doubting yourself as the day begins. Later on, events will serve to bolster your confidence and provide you with answers. Leo, July 23rd through August 22nd. You may not know just what to say today, but say something you must before someone else steps in and usurps your current position. Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd. A gentle conflict is likely to become more contentious as the day wears on. You suspect that a former ally has an ulterior motive. And Libra, September 23rd through October 22nd. You may have to speak or act more quickly today than you had expected. What happens after dark explains your behavior earlier in the day. Copyright 2017 United Feature Syndicate.
Support groups. Monday. Celebrate Recovery, 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. Aaron Lake Baptist Church, located at 1130 Bingham Drive. It's a multi-denominational, Christ-based 12-step program. It can include PTSD, depression, abuse, drugs, alcohol, and more. Call 424-7211 or John at 723-2319. Suicide Grief Support Group, 6:30 p.m. at the Manor Church, located at 5117 Cliffdale Road, Building A. For those who are grieving the loss of a relative, friend, co-worker, or loved one due to suicide. Call 302-8548. Tia Hart Community Recovery Program meets 7 to 8 p.m. at 116 East Elwood Avenue on Rayford Road in Rayford. Call 848-1872. Al-Anon meets at 7 p.m. Haymont United Methodist Church Youth Activity Center, located at 1900 Fort Bragg Road. Call them at 678-8002. Divorce Care meets from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at the Manor Church, located at 5117 Cliffdale Road. Call Tim or Tracy at 892-5439. In Christ We Do Recover meets from 8 to 9 p.m. in an open meeting at Hope Harbor Christian Mission, located at US 301 South Service Road. Chemical Dependency, call Woody at 423-0608 or 424-8800, extension 272. Alcoholics Anonymous meets at 7 a.m., noon, 5:30, 8, 11 p.m. at 626 Sandalwood Drive, and 8:30 a.m. at 521 Hillsborough Street, at 10 a.m. at 40 Marion Road in Lumberton, and at noon at Holy Trinity Episcopal Church, located at 1601 Rayford Road, and at noon, 5:30, and 8 p.m. at 604 German Street, and at noon at MT-2357 Quartermasters, Fort Bragg, and at noon at 6:30 p.m. at 401 East First Street in Lumberton, and 6:30 p.m. at Highland Presbyterian Church, and 111 Highland Avenue, and 6:30 p.m. at the Mayova Reese, that's located at 560 Wilkes Road, and at 7 p.m. they meet at 1241 Pine Knolls Drive in Spring Lake. At 7 p.m. they meet at the United Methodist Church, located at 4624 Campground Road. And at 8 p.m. they meet at the United Methodist Church at 4955 Legion Road in Hope Mills. At 8 p.m. they meet at the Manor Church in room 215, located at 5117 Cliffdale Road. And you can call their hotlines for more information at 678-8733 or 678-8002. Recovery in Action meet at 8 p.m. at the Manor Church at 5117 Cliffdale Road. You can call them for more information at 867-9151. The Landing is for teens 13 to 18 seeking healing from their hurts, hang-ups, and habits. They meet from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Aaron Lake Baptist Church Family Life Center, located at 1130 Bingham Drive. Narcotics Anonymous, to find their weekly meeting times and locations, call 866-418-9500 or go to crna.org. People Assisting Victims meets at 7:30 p.m. at the Cumberland Community Foundation building on Green Street. Sex Addicts Anonymous To find meeting times and locations, call 800-477-8191. Arthritis. At 7 p.m., there's a meeting at Cape Fear Valley Rehabilitation Center. For more information, call 488-9352. Takeoff Pound sensibly. There's a meeting at 5:30 p.m. at First Baptist Church located at 202 Summit Drive in Sanford. You can call 800-932-8677 or go online to tops.org. Home. From 7 to 8:30 p.m., the Church of the Open Door Fellowship Hall, a home school group for the Fayetteville area. The group can be contacted through its website, homepatriots.com.
A woman's dog died. Doctors say her heart literally broke. By Karen Brouillard, the Washington Post. Joni Simpson woke early one morning with a terrible backache. Her chest started hurting when she turned over. Within 20 minutes, she was at a local emergency room. Soon, she was being airlifted to a hospital in Houston, where physicians were preparing to receive a patient exhibiting the classic signs of a heart attack. But tests at Memorial Hermann Hospital revealed something very different. Doctors instead diagnosed Simpson with acute cardiomyopathy, a condition with symptoms that mimic heart attacks. It usually occurs following an emotional event such as the loss of a spouse or child. That link has given the illness its more colloquial name, broken heart syndrome. In Simpson's case, the event that she says tipped her over the edge was the recent death of her beloved Yorkshire Terrier, Miha. I was close to inconsolable, she said. I really took it really hard. Simpson's 2016 experience is described this week in the New England Journal of Medicine, not because of the dog's role, according to one of her doctors, Avashik Mayatai, but because hers was a very concise, elegant case of a fascinating condition that research has established as quite real and sometimes fatal. Although not the first published case linking broken heart syndrome to stress over a pet's death, it underscores something many animal owners take as a given, that grieving for sick or deceased pets can be as gutting as grieving for humans. A growing body of research supports this notion, which was echoed in a recent study that found pet owners with chronically ill animals have higher levels of caregiver burden, stress, and anxiety. It's the flip side of evidence that links pets to health and happiness, which gets more attention. Not that people who have lost beloved animals are likely to be surprised. Simpson certainly wasn't shocked. At the time of what she calls her episode, she'd been having a rough stretch. Her son was facing back surgery. Her son-in-law had lost his job. A property sale was proving to be complicated and lengthy. Meanwhile, 9-year-old Miha was suffering from congestive heart failure. The dog was like a daughter, Simpson said. She adored jumping into the swimming pool, and when Simpson and her husband grilled on Friday nights, Miha was given her own hamburger. The kids were grown and out of the house, so she was a little girl, said Simpson, a 62-year-old retiree who previously worked in medical transcription. And Miha started having more bad days. By May of last year, she was ill enough that Simpson made an appointment to have her euthanized. When the day came, the dog seemed fine, and Simpson canceled the appointment. Miha died the next day, and not peacefully. It was such a horrendous thing to have a witness, recalled Simpson. When you're already kind of upset about other things, it's like a brick on a scale. I mean, everything just weighs on you. After the helicopter carrying Simpson landed on the roof of Memorial Hermann, she was rushed to the cardiac catheterization lab. Cardiologist Avajit Dovey quickly threaded a thin tube into a blood vessel in Simpson's groin and up to her heart. The team expected x-rays to show blocked arteries, said Mayatai, then an internal medicine resident. They didn't. The artery was crystal clear. It was pristine, he said. Another artery was too. Other tests indicated this was a case of the Katsubo cardiomyopathy, which is most common in postmenopausal women. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2005 is among those that confirm that a flood of stress hormones may be able to stun the heart to produce spasms in otherwise healthy people. Once medications stabilized Simpson, the physicians talked to her about the stress in her life, and they told her about broken heart syndrome. It made complete sense, Simpson said. She was sent home after 2 days, and though she still takes 2 heart medications, she is doing fine. Simpson, who now lives about 2 hours northwest of San Antonio in the town of Camp Woods, only has a cat named Buster these days. She hasn't yet made the right connection with a dog, though she's sure it will happen. She's the kind of person who takes things more to heart than a lot of people, she said. She figures this tendency means her heart will break again, though maybe not so literally. And it will be worth it, Simpson said. It is heartbreaking, it is traumatic, it is all of the above, Simpson said. But you know what? I give so much love and companionship that I'll do it again. I will continue to have pets. It's not going to stop me.
Representative Wilson accuses Kelly of character assassination. Representative Frederica S. Wilson, Democrat of Florida, on Sunday called White House Chief of Staff John F. Kelly a puppet of the president and said he should apologize for having made false claims about her while defending President Donald Trump's military condolence calls. Not only does he owe me an apology, but he owes an apology to the American people, Wilson said during an appearance on MSNBC's AM Joy, during which she also accused Kelly of character assassination. The pointed words came on another day of sparring between Wilson and the White House after her criticism last week of Trump's call to the widow of one of 4 service members killed in an ambush in Niger. The president took to Twitter on Sunday morning, again attacking Wilson as wacky and calling her the gift that keeps on giving for the Republican Party and a disaster for them. You watch her in action and vote R, Trump wrote. During an appearance Thursday in which he defended Trump's calls, Kelly called Wilson an empty barrel and falsely asserted that she had claimed credit in a 2015 speech for securing funding for a federal building. Wilson instead has pushed legislation to name the building for 2 slain FBI agents. During her Sunday interview in which she was asked about Trump's repeated characterization of her as wacky, Wilson said, "That's the way he is. I'm sick of him giving people nicknames." She was also critical of the lack of information from the Trump administration about the ambush and the circumstances surrounding the death of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, a family friend of hers and among the 4 soldiers killed in Niger. "This is a catastrophe," Wilson said. "We had 4 soldiers who died. They have been buried, and we need to know why. And we need to know about the special circumstances surrounding LaDavid Johnson." On another Sunday television show, Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, said there was blame to go around in the condolence controversy. Last week, Trump falsely said that he had done more than past presidents to reach out to families of military members killed in action. Graham called Trump's criticism of President Barack Obama's handling of military deaths absolutely the wrong thing to do, but also accused Wilson of having politicized Trump's call to Johnson's widow. Now, though the president should return the focus to the soldiers, Graham said during an appearance on NBC's Meet the Press, how about a little on who they were and why they did what they did and all those like them, he said.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. In making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our address is P.O. Box 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at area code 910-672-1600 or toll free at 1-844-709-5656. Our radio hosts are
Beverlyn Simonette
and Robert Bean, and we are proud to serve you today. Celebrity Auction, Elvis's House, Maryland's Dresses, JFK's Radio, among items, by J. Reeves, The Associated Press, Tupelo, Mississippi. Years before Elvis Presley became the king of rock and roll, the story goes he lived in a small house up a hill from his elementary school in northeastern Mississippi and played with other kids in a nearby field. Fans now have a chance to buy that old home and land. The white wood frame house and more than 16 acres of adjoining property are part of an upcoming celebrity auction that includes everything from actress Marilyn Monroe's dresses to Michael Jackson's dark fedora. Want the army uniform that Tom Hanks wore while filming Forrest Gump? It's in the sale. What about Whitney Houston's see-through acrylic piano or the umbrella with a parrot-shaped handle that Julie Andrews carried in Mary Poppins? Or Hugh Hefner's 1973 BMW purchased with Playboy profits, presumably? The house, land, and other memorabilia are part of an online auction set for November 11th by GWS Auctions, a Southern California company which specializes in the sale of items including estates, fine art, and celebrity collectibles. More than 150 items will be auctioned in all, including other items linked to Presley, his private jet, a 1957 pink Cadillac, a boat named Hound Dog, a television he shot up at Graceland, and a two-bedroom mobile home from his Circle G ranch. There's also a radio once owned by President John F. Kennedy, a dress, nightgown, and jumpsuit owned by his late widow, Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, Reese Witherspoon clothing from the movie Legally Blonde, and a 1993 Jaguar owned by the late model Anna Nicole Smith. GWS Auctions owner Bridget Cruz said all the celebrities' items have been authenticated in various ways. Their possessions are rare, but beyond any monetary value. Fans place an emotional value on owning something that came in contact with their idols, she said. In the case of the Presley house, Charlene Presley, a relative by marriage, said the structure was initially built by the singer's father, Vernon Presley, and uncle next to the small home where Presley was born in 1935. That birthplace is the focal point of a park and museum that draws thousands of visitors annually to Tupelo. The newer house was moved to higher ground about a half-mile away from Elvis's birthplace around 1942, and the singer and his mother, Gladys Presley, lived there for a time, Presley said. This house is a house that Elvis and Gladys lived in, and he went to school at Lawhon School in the 3rd grade, she said. She would walk him to school down this street and around to Lawn. The adjoining property was a playground for Presley, who swam the creek, played, and hunted on the land, according to Presley. The executive director of the Elvis Presley Birthplace Foundation, Dick Guyton, said 5 shotgun-style homes, named for their long, narrow design, once stood in the area where Presley's birth home is still located. But Guyton said he doesn't know what happened to any of the 4 other structures, meaning he can't vouch for the house that's coming up for sale. We don't have any way to authenticate it, Guyton said. We don't know that that particular house is one that sat here by the birthplace. Cruz said members of the Presley family, a former longtime employee of Graceland and Elvis Presley Enterprises, and others have certified others sell pieces. How much might someone pay for a little house that would normally be worth a few $1,000s at most? Who knows? The Presley jet sold for nearly $500,000 in May before it was cleaned up and anyone had located its engines, the auction company said. Located within a short walk of Presley's birthplace, the land includes a tract that was going to be developed into a cemetery for Elvis fans more than a decade ago. The project never panned out, and no one has lived in the house for years. There's never really been anything like this, Cruz said. It'll be interesting to see what this one does.
Insider is new NAACP president and its CEO. The NAACP turned into an insider Saturday to help bring the nation's oldest civil rights organization back to prominence. Derek Johnson, 49, of Jackson, Mississippi, was hired as the NAACP's 19th president and CEO after having served as interim leader since July and previously as vice chairman of the NAACP Board of Directors. Johnson, in an interview with the Associated Press, said the NAACP will be much more politically active in the coming years and will alter its nonprofit status so it can more effectively lobby for its members' positions. Johnson's hiring was finalized Saturday at a meeting of the Board of Directors in Arlington, Virginia. In this time serving as our interim president and CEO, Derek has proven himself as the strong, decisive leader we need to guide us through both our internal transition as well as a crucial moment in our national history, said Leon Russell, the NAACP board chairman. With new threats to communities of color emerging daily and attacks on our democracy, the NAACP must be more steadfast and more immovable than ever before. And Derek has the vision, mobility, and the courage to help us meet that demand. The NAACP parted ways with its previous president and CEO, Cornell William Brooks, in May. Johnson has been the face of the NAACP since then, as the organization has refocused its work on supporting its local chapters and tried to retool in the face of rising organizations like Black Lives Matter. Currently, as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, the NAACP can only engage in substantial lobbying efforts, so it will reorganize as a 501c4 nonprofit similar to its local affiliates, which will allow it to conduct unlimited lobbying and promotion of political candidates and issues. The change will happen so we can have the collective voice and impact that a civil rights organization in 2017 and forward should have, said Johnson, former president of the Mississippi State Conference of the NAACP.
Rhiannon Giddens on fellowship. Genius? She's not buying, by Randy Lewis, Los Angeles Times, Tribune News Service. Technically speaking, she's now entitled to bragging rights as the world's first officially crowned genius banjo player. The idea elicits a chuckle from Rhiannon Giddens. To be honest, she says she isn't a fan of the Genius Grant nickname that's been widely used to describe the MacArthur Foundation Fellowship Reward she has just collected from the non-profit organization. I know they hate that term, she said with a laugh. Reached by phone last week in Cape Breton, Canada, the morning the foundation revealed the names of about 24 recipients of the 2017 fellowships. The award includes a $625,000 grant that's paid out over 5 years with no strings attached. I understand why they don't like it, said Giddens, who coincidentally will be making her Walt Disney Concert Hall debut Wednesday on a bill with LA singer-songwriter M. Ward. It's a very reductive term. It is very evocative and sort of encapsulates this idea of what it is, so I understand why some people like it, but I wouldn't use it myself. Giddens, 40, caught the attention of the foundation with her passionate exploration of under-recognized facets of African American music and culture, starting with her role as a founding member of the Carolina Chocolate Drops, an ensemble specializing in the forgotten role of African American musicians in the development of string band and country music, to her blossoming career as a solo artist. Giddens has been singularly devoted to highlighting connections among this nation's social, political, and cultural history. The financial component of the recognition from the MacArthur Foundation will provide a tangible boost for projects she's wanted to pursue. There's so much I want to do, try to facilitate, to add to the conversation, she said. This will allow that in a way I had not previously dreamed. For starters, she cites a historical incident from her native North Carolina she's long wanted to explore, the 1898 Wilmington Massacre, in which white supremacists carried out a political coup in the black majority city and destroyed the community's African American-owned newspaper, prompting thousands of black residents to flee their homes. There's a lot of parallels to what's happening today, she said. I think the main point of bringing these pieces of history up is connecting to them now. If you can't do that, it's pointless. Being able to count on funding from the MacArthur Fellowship, she said, will aid in her pursuit of the creative side of her career. In the commercial music world, the folk world, we sell records and concert tickets. This is the way I make a living, she said. You go out, you make your art, and hopefully people will put their money down for it. When it's getting hard, I have to be on the road so much to keep the lights on. I love being on the road and I love my band, but also need to be with my kids more and I need to be creating more. Consider the award a welcome confirmation of the path she's been pursuing. Sometimes you wonder, she said, when you're constantly pushing forward and trying to get something done and highlight the history, there are times when you think, is anybody out there hearing this? Then you get a call like this, and I guess they really are. Her choice of Richard Farina's Birmingham Sunday for her latest album, Freedom Highway, released in February, drew the kind of then-now connection she often strives to make. The song was prompted by the 1963 bombing of a Baptist church in Alabama that killed 4 young churchgoers. They carry striking parallel to the 2015 mass shooting in the Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, and other recent incidents of racially motivated violence. That, she said, doesn't require genius as much as another term she prefers. It's not just expertise, she said. There's also a fearlessness. Look at all the people who receive these grants. These folks are going after something regardless of whether they can make a living at it. They're going after something. It's not just being good at something. It's putting that with wanting to make something of it, wanting to progress, and not being afraid of where that's going to go.
World Health Organization revokes appointment of Mugabe. Johannesburg. The head of the World Health Organization revoked his appointment of Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe as a goodwill ambassador on Sunday after the choice drew widespread outrage and criticism. Zimbabwe's government said it respected the turnabout and that the UN Health Agency benefited tremendously from the attention. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus last week told a conference in Uruguay on non-communicable diseases that Mugabe, who was present, had agreed to be a goodwill ambassador on the issue. After the outcry by international leaders and health experts, Tedros said in a statement that he had reflected and decided to change his mind, calling it in the best interest of the UN Health Agency. Tedros said he had consulted with the Zimbabwe government about his decision. The 93-year-old Mugabe, the world's oldest head of state, has long been criticized at home for going overseas for medical treatment as Zimbabwe's once prosperous economy falls apart and the country's healthcare system deteriorates. Mugabe also faces U.S. sanctions over his government's human rights abuses. The United States had said the appointment of Mugabe by WHO's first African leader clearly contradicts the United Nations ideal of respect for human rights and human dignity. 24 organizations, and including the World Health Federation and Cancer Research UK, released a statement slamming the appointment, saying health officials were shocked and deeply disconcerted. The group said they had raised their concerns with Tedros on the sidelines of the Uruguay conference to no avail. Zimbabwe's government said it respected Tedros' decision to withdraw Mugabe's appointment. Foreign Affairs Minister Walter Zebwe told state broadcaster ZBC that the UN Health Agency benefited tremendously from the original decision to name Mugabe to the post because of the global attention that resulted. On a name recognition scale, this name beats them all. But it is our business to protect its brand equity from unnecessary besmirching. Zimbi said, so on the balance, it is wiser to let go. The heads of UN agencies and the UN Secretary General typically choose celebrities and other prominent people as ambassadors to draw attention to global issues of concern, such as refugees, Angelina Jolie, and education, Malala Yousafzai. The choices are not subject to approval.
Tonight on television, WTVD Channel 11, WPDE Channel 15, and WNCN Channel 17 from 8 to 10, Dancing with the Stars, movie genre-themed performances live. From 10 to 11, The Good Doctor, 0.3%. CBS WNCN Channel 17 and WBTW Channel 13 from 8 to 8:30, The Big Bang Theory, from 8:30 to 9 JKL, High Stakes, from 9 to 9:30, Kevin Can Wait, from 9:30 to 10, Me, Myself, and I, from 10 to 11, Scorpion, Sigh Hard, Team Scorpion has taken hostage, Fox, WRAZ Channel 50, WGHP Channel 8, WSFX Channel 26. From 8 to 9, Lucifer, a youth counselor, is found murdered. From 9 to 10, The Gifted, the mutants devise plans for a takedown. And from 10 to 11, The News. NBC WRAL Channel 5 and WECT Channel 6. From 8 to 10, The Voice, The Battles Part 3, Roscoe Flats, Billy Ray Cyrus. From 10 to 11, The Brave, the team tries to help an ambassador. PBS, WUNC Channel 4, WUNU, and WUNJ. From 8 to 9, Antiques Roadshow. From 9 to 10, Antiques Roadshow. From 10 to 11:30, POV, featuring cinematographer Kirsten Johnson. A&E Channel 21. From 8 to 9, Juvenile Lifers. A 12-year-old boy faces a life sentence. 9 to 10, Kids Behind Bars, Maximum Security. From 10 to 11:30, Kids Behind Bars, Lost for Life. People serving life sentences. AMC Channel 41. From 7 to 9:30, a one-star horror film from 2009, Halloween 2, starring Malcolm McDowell and Tyler Mane. Unstoppable Michael Myers continues his murderous rampage. From 9:30 to 11:30, a four-star horror film from 1978, Halloween, starring Donald Pleasance. An escaped maniac embarks on a holiday rampage of revenge. And Discovery Channel, Channel 42, from 8 to 9, Fast and Loud, Revved Up. From 9 to 10, Fast and Loud, Richard tries to unload a 65 Mustang. From 10 to 11, Diesel Brothers, Bros to the Rescue. TBS Channel 24, from 8 to 10 for back-to-back episodes of Family Guy. From 10 to 11 to back-to-back episodes of American Dad. TVN Channel 68, from 8 to 9, Praise the Lord. From 9 to 9:30, Franklin Graham. From 9:30 to 10, Jessica Plantis. From 10 to 10:30, Graham. From 10:30 to 11, Greg Laurie.tv. Turner Classic Movies, Channel 54, from 8 to 10:15, a three-star biography from 1980, The Elephant Man, starring John Hurt, Anthony Hopkins, and Anne Bancroft. And beginning at 10:15, a four-star movie from 1986, Hannah and Her Sisters, starring Woody Allen, Oscar-winning portrait of three Manhattan siblings. And the Learning Channel, Channel 23, from 8 to 9, 90 Day Fiancé, Before the 90. From 9 to 10, Counting On. And from 10 to 11, 90 Day Fiancé Extended. That's what's on television tonight.
Lack of transparency with advisory board. President Donald Trump's advisory commission on election integrity has integrity questions of its own, with some of its own members raising concerns about its openness. This past week, 2 members fired off letters to commission staff complaining about a lack of information about the panel's agenda and demanding answers about its activities. That comes as the Democratic U.S. senators are requesting a government investigation of the commission for ignoring formal requests from Congress. The criticism from the commissioners was remarkable because it came from insiders, the very people who are supposed to be privy to its internal discussions and plans. In a letter sent October 17, Maine Secretary of State Matthew Dunlap said it was clear he was not being made aware of information pertaining to the commission. He requested copies of all correspondence between commission members since Trump signed the executive order creating it in May. I'm in a position where I feel compelled to inquire after the work of the commission upon which I am sworn to serve, and am yet completely uninformed as to its activities, Dunlap wrote in his letter to Andrew Cossack, the commission's executive director. He said he had received no information about the commission's research or activities since its last meeting on September 12th. He also said he continued to receive media inquiries about commission developments that I, as commissioner, am blind to. A commissioner from Alabama, Jefferson County probate judge Alan L. King, said he sent a similar letter late last week. He said the only information he has received since the commission's meeting more than a month ago was an email informing him of the death of a fellow commissioner from Arkansas state lawmaker David Dunn. Here I am on this high-level government committee, and I don't know when the next meetings are or how many meetings there will be, he said in a telephone interview. I am in the dark on what will happen from this point on, to tell you the truth. King and Dunlap are 2 of 4 Democrats on the 11-member commission. Request for comment sent to Cossack, the commission executive director, and the commission vice chairman. Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach were not returned. J. Christian Adam, a commission member who was a Justice Department attorney under former President George W. Bush, said in an email that all commissioners were receiving the same information. Once upon a time, election integrity was bipartisan, Adams said in the email. Apparently not all agreed. That's a shame. The commission has stirred controversy from the moment it was established last spring. Critics say Trump is using it to find support for his unsubstantiated claims of widespread voter fraud that cost him the popular vote during the 2016 election. Democrat Hillary Clinton received 2.8 million more votes nationwide than Trump. While there have been isolated cases of voter fraud in the U.S., there is no evidence of it being a widespread problem, as Trump suggests.
Inside politics. Early voting begins for November 7th elections. As of Friday at 3:30 p.m., 578 people have voted in this year's general election, Cumberland County Board of Elections Administration Coordinator Shannon Cole said. The polls will be open until November 7th in Cumberland County on Election Day. Because 2017 is an odd-numbered year, municipal elections will be held throughout North Carolina, according to the State Board of Elections and Ethics Enforcement website. In Cumberland County, residents will vote on candidates for local government office in Fayetteville, Eastover, Godwin, Hope Mills, Spring Lake, Linden, Falcon, Wade, and Stedman. The 2 candidates in each primary election advanced to this year's general election. Early voting in this year's primary election was high, County Elections Director Terry Robertson previously told the Fayetteville Observer. In 2017, 2,900 people voted early, compared with 878 people in 2015 and 1,986 people in 2013. It is important to note that the 2015 early voting period was shorter than this year, and the 2013 period was the same as it is now. Voting in general in this year's primary was on par with other election years, Robertson said. There were 12,293 ballots cast of the 129,970 eligible voters in the primary, meaning 9.94% of eligible voters participated in the primary. Information on this year's election can be found on the State Board of Elections website at www.ncsbe.gov/2017-election-information, and the County Board of Elections website at www.co.cumberland.nc.us/elections.aspx. Meetings. The Young Democrats of Cumberland County has scheduled its monthly meeting for Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at 100 Hay Street in downtown Fayetteville. The guest speaker will be North Carolina Democratic Senator Ben Clark. The event is free and open to the public. Democratic Rally. Members of the Cumberland County Democratic Party are invited to attend a fall rally on Saturday from noon to 3 p.m. at the John D. Fuller Recreation Center Picnic Shelter at 6627 Bunch Road in Fayetteville. The event will feature the Democratic Party candidates for the upcoming municipal elections. Barbecue will also be served at the event, which is free. For more information, contact Cumberland County Democratic Party Chairwoman Bertha Waddle at 624-6516 or email rwaddle@nc.rr.com. Cooper appointment. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper has appointed Anthony Hare of Fayetteville to the North Carolina Commission for Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities, and Substance Abuse Services. The Commission is authorized to create and repeal rules for state and local mental health, developmental disability, and substance abuse service programs. Hare is a behavioral therapist who works with the Community Reentry Program in Fayetteville. And this concludes our reading of the Monday Fayetteville Observer. The radio hosts have been
Beverlyn Simonette
and Robert Bean. Please continue to listen for more local and regional news. We've enjoyed being with you. Have a wonderful day.